Hi, I'm Marion, Landry, Technical Marketing Manager for Autodesk. Let's understand Final Gather and continue on the series of tips and tricks on rendering with Mental Ray. When it's time to do some rendering, you often hear the terminology Final Gather. Now, what exactly is Final Gather? Final gathering is a technique for estimating indirect lighting. It's also known as global illumination or GI. You can also achieve GI or global illumination by using photon tracing or a combination of the two. But final gathering is the recommended method to simulate indirect lighting or global illumination for non-expert users. Final Gather is basically the recommended method for AEC users because this method will give you photorealistic results and manageable rendering time. Now, why exactly is it that you need Final Gather? Well, if you don't have Final Gather on, you basically don't have indirect lighting or global illumination. So you see, the drawing on the left side is a photorealistic look. It's got global illumination, it's got nice indirect lighting, you have a feel of like illumination in the scene created by indirect lighting as well as the sky. Whereas the image on the right side, well, you only have direct lighting in this image. It's not realistic. Where the elements are in the shadow, it's actually pitch black. So Final Gather will add realism and photo quality to your images. And it's also a fast and easy way to achieve global illumination result for architecture visualization. Now, how does Final Gather works? When Final Gather is enabled, every object effectively becomes a source of indirect light. Now, this is material dependent, basically reflectance dependent, depending on the reflectance of the material. When one Final Gather ray strikes an object, a series of secondary rays are diverted at random angles around it to calculate the light energy contribution from the surrounding objects. The light energy is then evaluated during the ray tracing process to add the effect of the bounced light. Now let's have a look at this slide to understand the process of this. I have a scene here, which is a room which is highlighted in the whites. Then I have a camera, which has a camera view, which is highlighted with the dotted blue line. So this is what my camera is seeing. And I have a source of direct light. In this case, it's a sunlight, but it could also be artificial lights. First thing is that the direct light enters your scene. So the sun is entering through the opening of my scene and coming inside of my room. Then the light will bounce in the scene according to the number of bounce in the rendering setting, which is the indirect illumination. The camera sends a Final Gather point, and it's trying to identify the illumination of each of these points that are sent in your scene. Now, to do so, a number of secondary rays and the average is calculated. So basically, this ray is going to go it's going to go land probably outside, and it's going to be really bright. Now this ray, it's going to land probably on this white, and it's going to be much darker than the ray that was sent outside. This ray here is going to be sent on the floor, and this might be a highly reflective floor, therefore it's going to be much brighter. Now this ray here is going to be sent further down in the floor and might be darker than the ray that was close to the light illumination. Now an average will be calculated, and we will give a number. So maybe let's take into account that this point has a 35,000 lux illumination. Now the point next to it might only have a 5,000 lux illumination. Now to smooth out the solution between each point, we enter an interpolation amount, some sort of a blur effect. So looking at these numbers in the indirect illumination tab of the rendering panel in 3ds Max Design, the density of the Final Gather point will affect the precision of the solution, but also the rendering time. The more dense the initial Final Gather point is, the more points you're sending, the longer the rendering or the calculation will take. Now, the more rays are sent per Final Gather point, the more chances of getting accuracy in the Final Gather point illumination. Now, the higher the interpolation is, the smoother interpolation between each of these Final Gather points or the blur effect is. Now it's your role to find the perfect combination and the balance in between these numbers for each of your scenes. So basically, no final gather, no indirect illumination, no global illumination. And this is very crucial for indoor scenes where indirect illumination is crucial to give you nice effect, nice global illumination, and photorealistic quality. For outside scene, you might get away without global illumination, but for indoor scene, it would be definitely crucial.